Hi guys, this is behind the scenes of my Nijmegen time lapse, where I would like to share some of the details, starting with this one. This is a motion controlled time lapse that I've taken on my dolly slider with Sony Alpha 7 Mark II. I've taken all my time lapses in picture so that I can use all the advantages with higher resolution or with more raw data in post-edit, and also to use different shutter speeds. For this scene I used a shutter speed of 0.8, almost 1 full second, to create motion blur of the fast moving water and of the grass moved by the wind. To achieve such a low shutter speed, I used a variable ND filter where I can choose between having an ND2 and ND6. With an ND6, less light will pass through the lens on the sensor, and by that I can use a lower shutter speed. For example, with 125th, then the water would have been very wavy. And on a time lapse, if I put those pictures after each other, they would have created a very chaotic or hectic video afterwards. To have the grass and the stones in the foreground sharp, and also the St. Stephenstore, so the church in the background sharp, I used an f-stop of 25. And to reduce the noise, I used a low ISO of 50. I placed the slider on one side on a stone and on the other side on a tripod. And the camera moved on the slider for some 60 centimeters and with an interval of 3 seconds per image. Most pictures are taken with the river in the foreground and the city in the background, but to be honest, I find those pictures quite boring. So I wanted to put the city into a more summer feeling. That's why I've chosen to put the green grass in the foreground, and to fill it more I found a tree stump on the right side and a big stone on the left side. To complete the composition, I created the illusion that the camera on the slider would actually follow the clouds. That was a bit tricky with the speed of the clouds and the speed on the slider to move along with the clouds. The sound effects of this scene are from this very same spot. I had to go 1.5 kilometers further, because at the original spot you could hear all the time the cars and also the trains on the bridges nearby. Originally I took all images underexposed to avoid a completely blown out white sky. Since it was very bright that day and it was very hazy or misty in the sky, it was already very difficult to distinguish between clouds and the white sky. So in the post-edit I had to deal with that, and I had to deal also with the fact that since the sun was coming from the white side, it was very bright, and on the left side was very dark blue. So I had to level it between left and right, not only in blue of the blue sky, but also in brightness of the sky. And this is how the scene looks without any kind of edit applied. To edit the day scene was actually more difficult than editing this transition scene. For this day to night scene, I've set my camera again on my slider and used the shoot, move, shoot method. It means that the camera only moves between the shot and stands still during a picture. I set all the settings on the camera on manual, so I had to change over the time all the settings because it gets darker and darker. So in the beginning I worked with an ISO of 50 and with the shutter speed of 1/8, and ended with an ISO of 500 and a shutter speed of 20 seconds. The f-stop was on 16 to again have the foreground and the background sharp. I started already with a low shutter speed to avoid strong waves on the water, because in the end with 20 seconds you would smoothen out any waves, and it would have looked weird if you would have seen the beginning when it's day with some waves and at night not. And between each image I used an interval of 28 seconds. This is one of the newest bridges of Nijmegen, and that's why I've chosen this spot, because between the pillars you can see the older bridge of Nijmegen, and the small detail that you might miss while watching my time-lapse is that when the light turns on, they're first a bit greenish, and that's something that I've seen also in other buildings in Nijmegen, that at first it starts a bit greenish before they turn into the yellow or orange tone. People ask me what I do in the spare time, since such a transition like this one takes between 2 and 2.5 hours. I do get then the question if I go home or somewhere else. Well, I do not, because my camera gear is expensive, and I also have to stay there to change from time to time the settings. Spoken about people while shooting this time-lapse, a lot of joggers and runners were in front of the camera, and some of them also did some exercise trainings. Well, when they were running, you cannot see them because of the long shutter speed, but when they were exercising in front of the camera, they stayed long at the same spot. So you could see them, although I used a longer shutter speed, and that's why I had to kind of delete them in post-edit. For that one I used Photoshop to only remove the people and not the trains in the background, because I found the trains in the background passing by quite nice. There are several different ways in Adobe After Effects to erase things that you don't want to be there, but those do have sometimes an unpleasant side effect. I said earlier that the edit for this scene was a bit easier than the day one, but I still would like to show how it looks alike without any kind of edit and stabilization. I want to thank, by the way, May for letting me use their great music. I put their links into the description. And also thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section, and see you around. Bye!